Hello and welcome back to the Shepherd's Crook podcast. Hope you guys are all doing well today. Really excited about this conversation we're going to have this morning. It's bright and early. It's 5:07 in the morning, and this is usually when I talk to my good buddy Brandon George. So we figured we'd go ahead and actually just record a podcast today. We're going to be talking about life, work, glory days in baseball, hunting, and land management, and a lot of really fun things, tactics and hunting, and what they're doing with a new video YouTube channel that he's a part of. And in a minute, you guys will get to meet Brandon. But first, just want to remind you of some things that's going on. The Sons and Slaves podcast, it's been a lot of fun. And I'm talking to my boys once a week about growing into manhood. And we're going through a book called Boyhood and Beyond. It's been a lot of fun. Would love for you guys to check that out if you can. And also the membership you've been hearing me talk about. If you want to be a member of the Shepherd's Crook, at $5 a month, and you get a thumb drive at the end of the year of all the content, video and audio, and also a monthly newsletter that comes with a wax seal and all, and hoping to awaken a little nostalgia of opening the mailbox and seeing a piece of mail, a newsletter from a ministry. And hope that's something that you might be interested in. So if you are, reach out to me. Would love to get that to you. And without any further ado, I'm talking to my good buddy, Brandon George. Brandon, how's it going, man?
What's going on, Jared?
Man, well, let's go ahead and pray, and then we'll get right into it. But Father, just thank you for this time. I thank you for Brandon and the opportunity just to be friends with him and Chasey and Addisy and then their new baby, and just all that you're doing in their life is just exciting. And thank you for this time to talk. I thank you also for what I've learned from him over the last few years. And he's got a lot of hands in a lot of different things, and from work to hunting and farming background as well. And so just kind of a jack of all trades. So I thank you for Brandon and all that I've learned from him, and just pray for blessing upon this conversation. I trust that you will bless it and lead us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, man. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself? And I know you guys are out of the farming game, but tell us about your family, and then just what you do.
All right. Well, my name is Brandon George. I'm 30 years old. I have a wife, and we have a 3-year-old daughter, and we have a son on the way. He's due January 1st. I'm pretty excited about that. Me and my family own an auto body shop in the big city of Tamaroa, Illinois. Population about 500 people.
Nice.
But my daddy's owned the body shop about 40 years now. So it's a family affair. Me, my dad, and my brother work there. My mom, she just does the book. She doesn't really come into work, but she does the still long hours of book work and everything. She's retired from the state police, but it's a whole family affair up there. We just have a good time.
Nice.
See each
Yeah,
other every day, work together, go through the struggles and the fun times together.
that's awesome. Well, I imagine that there's a lot of positive about working with family, and then I'm sure that everybody would say, and there's probably challenges as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it's it's tough. Tensions rise, that's for sure. But the good thing about us is, we can duke it out, and then 20 minutes later, we're good.
Yeah, that's good. It's kind of, men are kind of built like that. I'm the same way. But my dad and I growing up, people would hear us talking or working together, and he would have me working, and we would just be at it. And then, 30 seconds later, everything's good. It's just kind of how I grew up. That's how his family was, kind of thing. But okay, but baseball has been a big part of your family. I know you were a pitcher, pitching college. Your brother actually was drafted, I believe, and
Yes.
played some minor league ball. What were your pitches? I mean, you were pitching what, 96 mile an hour, something like that?
The fastest I hit was 95. My brother hit 100. Um, but yeah, my brother, he obviously we both went to DuQuoin High School. He went to SIU Carbondale straight out of high school. I went to Rend Lake. I played 2 years there. I went to SIU Edwardsville after that, and I kind of bum my arm up a little bit. Yeah, my brother, he was lucky enough to get drafted 13th round to the Los Angeles Angels, and he dealt with some injuries, never really made it too far, but he gave it a try.
Yeah. What's your theory? Because I know in baseball, like Major League Baseball, it used to, I think there was like a 4 pitcher rotation rather than a 5 pitcher rotation, and guys were pitching complete games and 130 pitches a game.
Oh, yeah.
And turning around 5 days later and doing the same thing. And it
Mhm.
seems like as there's, now there's a pitcher lineup, and it seems like guys are pitching 94 pitches and tearing their arm. What do you think? Like what is, I mean, it can't be just a toughness thing. It has to do with mechanics or something. What's going on?
I tell you what, I don't know, but one thing I notice now is back then it was impressive to throw 95, 96, and if you threw 100 it was like unheard of, but now I swear everybody's throwing 100.
Hmm.
So I'm going to assume that might have something to do with it. Um
Just throwing
you have
hard.
these, yeah, I think. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Only one person knows the answer to that. But uh, yeah, I would assume that that's probably it because there's high schoolers now touching 100. It's
Hmm.
crazy. 95 now really isn't even a big deal. Everybody's throwing that. So I don't know if that's why, but it seems to be. But yeah, I feel you. People, it definitely seems like everybody's having Tommy John, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe back in the day people just didn't get it. Maybe they toughed it out. Who
Right.
knows?
Yeah. So you had a fastball, changeup, curveball, slider. What were your pitches?
I didn't throw a curveball. I did in high school, but once I got to college and started being competitive, I ditched the curveball and I was fastball, slider, changeup. I didn't throw changeup a whole bunch, but I was mostly a fastball, slider type of guy, and I had some good success with it.
It's cool. Very fun. Okay. So the body shop gig, you also were a farmer for a while. So you and your dad had a full
Mhm.
blown farm as well. I mean, like you guys somehow or another fit full-time careers, and
Mhm.
somehow you kind of get in and get the itch of the hobby and get out hunting during hunting season a little bit after working a 12-hour day. But
Yeah.
what was the farming game like when you guys were doing the body shop too? And you feel like you guys were just running ragged, or how did you
Yeah.
even survive?
Yeah. When we farmed, I was pretty much. I mean, me and Dad, I ran mostly the show, and Dad did a lot of the technical stuff, or the more difficult stuff, I guess. He just kind of let me loose in the tractor, and then I did all the harvesting on the combine, and he ran trucks and ran the auger wagon, all that good stuff. Uh, but basically, what we had to hang it up was some of the guys, longtime workers at our body shop, finally got old enough and wanted to retire, and we just couldn't afford to be gone from the shop. That was our bread and butter. That's what really made us money, and what stayed more busy was that shop. So
Hmm.
we had to hang up the farm and rent our ground out. So now Dad's making money and not having to do any work. But
That's
it's
nice.
it's a blessing, really, because if I was trying to do that, I would have zero family time.
Hmm.
Uh,
Right.
I don't see how we could do it anymore.
Yeah.
We didn't farm enough ground to really make it too profitable for us. We was only at about 800 acres, so it was more of a hobby
Yeah.
than
Well,
you know.
that's what's wild about farming now. 800 acres isn't really a full-time gig. I mean, it's full-time
Mhm.
work, but I mean, that's what I hear is if you don't have 2, 3, 4,000 acres, it's kind of hard to make it.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you got big farmers all around, and I know the big farmers are around this area. They're great guys, but they have a lot of ground, a
Yeah.
lot of ground. There's
So you're looking at 10,000 acre farms. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
hmm
There's one big farm up here that's probably 40 or 50,000 acres,
man, that's
and
wild.
yeah, but hey, props to them.
Yeah. Yeah, right. They're making it.
That's their
So you
operation.
guys, you guys have been at the church now, what, 4 or 5 years at this point? 3 or 4 years?
I think probably 4 or 5. Odyssey is 3, so I would
Yeah.
say we're going about 4.5 or 5.
Okay. So when you guys started coming to the church, I don't think I had started hunting yet because maybe I just started the year after you came. But then
Yeah.
we got that turkey together. Brandon's the guy
Mhm.
that he put me on turkeys at his house, and we went up 2 or 3 times, and then finally got one in like a miracle Hail Mary shot, and ended up getting a little Jake up there, and had a blast. But you guys have been hunting basically your whole life up there, is that right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let's just talk about why it is that you guys as a family love to hunt. I've been to your cabin. I've seen, the mounts on the wall, and you guys have had a lot of success over the years and have a really great plan of just managing your own property to make sure that, these deer get bigger and the kind of deer that you want to shoot. And every year, I'm sure you got target bucks that you're going for. And so you're able to manage that property well. Before we start talking about 127 Pursuit and everything you got going on the video side, why don't you go and just talk about hunting as a family and why you grew up doing that, and now why you're wanting to pass that on. And even Chasey got into hunting this last year with a crossbow and crushed a nice buck. But just talk all things hunting about growing up in your family doing that, and then why it's still a passion today.
Well, Dad obviously introduced me and my brother to it because he's been obsessed with it, longer than us. He's been doing it. He's owned that property about, I'd say, 35, 40 years. And
And he
you know,
got that property when you could get property for a reasonable
oh
price,
yeah,
which is
I think
crazy.
I think the most my dad paid for property back then was like $120 an acre.
That's
And
unreal.
he could have bought more, but he said he didn't want to go in debt. So I often tell him about that. Like, man, you could have bought this extra $300 and been in debt a couple thousand.
No
uh,
kidding.
oh shoot! But no, he got me and my brother into it. We've just, obviously started youth season gun hunting, started shooting bows when we was real little. My dad used to do 3D competition shooting,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I never got into that. My brother did it with him a little bit, but it got me shooting a bow when I was pretty young. And I remember complaining to Dad, "Hey, I want to go bow hunting, but I couldn't pull back a heavy enough bow to go."
Hmm.
But I finally got there, and first several years is just kind of open range. You go shoot whatever. And then Dad kind of sits us down and we have the talk about managing deer and managing our property, which is what we've done for 35 years, besides the, first deer ever, with a bow and with a gun. And then you start trying to manage. And Chasey started taking her out because she wanted to go. We've been together 10 years at this point, and last year was the first time she actually wanted to go and kill something. So she took her hunter safety course, got her hunting
Hmm.
license. We went and got her tags, and I set her out there, and we see some smaller bucks. I said, "Hey, you want to shoot?" "No, I want to kill big buck." I said, "Okay, let's do this." But I'm letting you know it's not just that easy. And sure enough, like her second or third hunt, big mature buck walks out and he smashes it. So,
Yeah, and it was like a 50-yard shot or something like that too,
oh
wasn't it?
yeah, 50 yards on the dot. And we're looking at getting our compound bow. We
Okay.
was going through this year, but she's 7 months pregnant, so I think staying with the crossbow is the best option right now.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah.
Can you turn that and give an example of the kind of deer that you guys shoot? I can see
Mhm.
over your right
Yeah.
shoulder there. Yeah,
Yes.
there we go. Okay. So man, what a great mount too.
Yeah, that was a cool mount for sure. Um,
So who does your mounts these days? We'll give them a shout out.
this guy, his name is Dan Helmer. He's from um DuQuoin, and he has Helmer's Taxidermy. They've been open for a long time. They moved away for a few years, and I kind
Okay.
of had to go to some other people, and they've done a good job. I've taken mine. This guy's name's Todd Kellerman. He has a feed store over in Pinckneyville. He's done a good job
Okay.
on some, but Dan Helmer did that one. Helmer's Taxidermy. He's been doing it a long time. They're getting to be older. Him and his wife, they do. His wife does birds like turkey, ducks, all that stuff, which I have a couple of them as well up
Very
here.
cool.
But yeah, say we try to just kill mature deer. Obviously, the rack is fun, but we've tried to make it. We've gone to where we're trying to kill 5.5-year-old deer or older.
Hmm.
So want them to reach their full potential, get plenty of breeding years in there, get good genetics, and Another thing we don't really do, which is controversial, is we don't shoot does. I bet in the 35, 40 years my dad's owned the place, I bet we've killed less than 10 does off of that place.
Wow.
So, and our population is pretty good. Our numbers are pretty good. So we just don't kill does very
Hmm.
much.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I love what you're doing. And I like that, you look back in history. And when I was younger, I remember my grandpa talking about how there wasn't deer around. When he was young, there were no deer whatsoever. It's because people didn't self-manage very well, and they did just annihilate populations. And I know it was a different day. I mean, they were killing to eat, and it's not like you guys have to kill to eat. I mean, you do eat it, but it's not like you're desperate for food or anything. It's not.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's it's a different day. It's a different era.
yeah.
But it is neat to see these populations return, and then to see what you guys are doing to take responsibility over your property and your land, and not wanting to decimate the population, but want to make sure that there is a healthy population to be able to continue to hunt. I mean, now you have your children as well, and I'm sure you're wanting to raise Odyssey and your son as
Oh, yeah.
well to be able to hunt. And not that you want to force them to do it, but I mean, I think it's pretty natural as fathers to want to pass on the things that you enjoy to your children. And hunting is one of those really neat things that you can do until you're really, until you're older. I mean, your dad, he's incredibly fit still, but I mean, I'm sure he's still pretty excited. Deer season comes around, he's still probably out there hunting him. So I'm assuming. And
Yeah,
so I mean, you can really do that from a young age all the way. Your dad is, I don't know if your dad's 60 yet, you're probably in his 50s, but you know, continue to do that your whole life. So I mean, obviously, I mean, I'm assuming you're wanting to raise your children up hunting as well.
absolutely, yeah. And so my dad, he's 62, but yes, he's still out there hunting. We was just talking about it. Does he get as fired up as he used to? Probably not, but I'd say that's a good thing because he used to be crazy with it. But yeah, we still all enjoy it, like I said. And we got Florida buddies that my brother had met when he was playing ball.
Hmm.
Another guy that played for the Angels, and he's a Florida country boy. He's just like us, but lives in a warmer state. And we bring them up. I think we're going on like year 11 or 12 of them coming up,
That's cool.
and they'll come up and they'll stay at our cabin that we got out there. They used to hunt on my grandma and grandpa's property, but since then they've got a lease, so which is right next to where my grandma and grandpa's property is. But
Hmm.
they hunt on that lease. They're the same way. They came up. Florida people, if it's got antlers, it's dead. That's how
Hmm.
they are. And that's just because they don't see big deer. If it's
Yeah.
got
Right.
5, 6 points and it's 2 years old, that's a big deer to them. But
Hmm.
they're now where they manage, they let deer walk. They've gotten to where they kill big deer.
That's awesome.
So it's a lot of fun. We look forward to that every year. We have a blast. And deer camps a lot of fun.
That's
A
cool.
lot
Yeah.
of fun.
Florida deer and like any deer in the South are like these little dogs running around in the woods.
Yeah, yeah, they're like 100-pound deer,
Right.
uh, but no, I'm definitely looking forward to passing it on to my kids.
That's
It's
cool.
just it's a lot of fun. There's hardly anything like it.
A couple years ago, I got to go up to northern Minnesota, and when I was in northern Minnesota, this guy was talking about a 300-pound doe that he shot.
No, man.
300-pound doe. I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? It's
There's
just
no dragging
unbelievable.
that.
Oh man, yeah, I wouldn't like dragging that at all. So
That's-
now you've had all this experience. You got, when you're in one place your entire life. I mean, you grew up in Du Quoin, Southern Illinois. So did I. I grew up in Southern Illinois. I mean, you know people, you know who hunts, you know what people are doing. So you guys started 127 Pursuit, or you're a part of 127 Pursuit. Why don't you go and tell people about that, and then tell people about what's going on at the YouTube page. Give shout out to your sponsors that you're working with, and let me just tell you up front: if you will go follow 127 Pursuit, these guys are doing a great job, and that's where you can find Brandon and JC's video from last year. That's just so well done. I mean, the filming on that was phenomenal. It looks so good what you guys are doing. So just tell us how that started, how you guys got involved, and what your guys' plans are.
Yeah, man. A buddy of mine who I actually played college baseball with. I grew up my whole life knowing him. His name is Evan Chapman. He's from Pinckneyville originally. He lives here in DuQuoin now. But me and him, he's always been a hunter and a baseball player like me. And he reached out to me, and we were kind of talking. He's like, "Hey, you want to do this?" And I've thought about it my whole life. I'm like, man, like professional baseball player, professional hunter. Like that's been the things on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome thing. hunter would be way better than baseball player. Uh, and so he reached out, "Hey, would you want to try to do this?" Absolutely, man. So I go online, get some cameras, get some stuff to film, start messing with it. I've always wanted to do it, and it's tough, whenever you're trying to sell film, it is very hard. So I give props to these hunters out there that got TV shows that's hard. That's
Hmm.
hard stuff. Having to have a camera person is a big thing. So Evan spent a lot of time last year in the tree filming me. Obviously, I took Chasey and I filmed her
Hmm.
on it, and it panned out perfectly.
It really
But I
did.
also, yeah, it was awesome. But I've
Did
also
you
had the
do the editing or is somebody else doing the editing?
Evan does all the editing.
Okay. Shout out to
So
Evan, man. Great job.
absolutely, he's good at it. That's for sure. He puts a lot of time and effort into it. So, but we have a group of five five of us that are the main core of this 127 pursuit. And last weekend, actually, Evan filmed one of our guys in the group, Cameron, shoot a very, very big deer. And he's got some pretty good video, but we've got a lot of good backstory with it. I'm on a buck now that I got a lot of backstory, a lot of video with. So I'm hoping I can make it happen on camera. But we got a, a clothing sponsorship this year with Osseo gear. It's ASIO. It's some really good stuff. We've been putting that to the test so far this year, and it's been awesome. It's very comfortable, most comfortable stuff I've ever worn in my life. And we've also got a little deal working with Tacticam on their filming cameras. They're um, strap them to your bow, strap them to your gun. You can put them on just as a second angle camera. So we use them a lot and been on the new gear, and we're just having fun.
That's
It's
awesome.
challenging. It brings a whole new level of fun to deer hunting. I've deer hunted for a long time now, and now I just feel like a kid again doing it.
That's
It's a lot
awesome.
of fun. I'm ready to go out there, get my cameras up, get set up, and try to kill a big deer on camera.
That's awesome, man. I've actually not, I've done a lot of shooting this year. I've not actually gone out to hunt this year because I've taken ransom out. My whole goal has
Yeah.
been I'm getting a ransom of deer first.
Hmm.
The baby is due November the 15th. So, which is like, obviously the worst time of the
It's
year for a
rough.
baby to be due.
Uh,
But ransom, he's missed. So yesterday I took him out yesterday morning and he went just a little bit high with that crossbow, just missed the second time. And we're going out again Thursday morning and then hopefully Thursday night. So I'm hoping he
mhm.
gets one Thursday morning. And then if he does, then I get to go out for the first time on Thursday night. So my goal has been ransom first. I'm going to get him one. And then hopefully I'm going to get one after that. Let's talk about your target buck this year. So you said you got some history with him. So you got him on film last couple of years.
Yeah, I have him on film dating back when I started filming 2 years ago. I had taken my camera and started filming a little bit, bought it. So I have video of him that I believe he was a 4-year-old then. I videoed him a lot last year as a 5-year-old. He was a shooter, but I had that mega giant that my neighbor killed on
Mm-hmm.
opening shotgun season. Orange Army came out and ruined my season, but but I had this deer on camera. I had him 15 yards from me. Got great video of him, and I could have shot him, and I should have shot him, I guess. But I had this 180 plus inch deer out in the
Mm-hmm.
field at the time. Not gonna waste that or ruin that opportunity. I haven't seen this target buck in person yet, but we've been getting some trail cam pics of him,
Awesome.
and he's just does he have the biggest rack? Absolutely not, but he's just a brute. He's always just been an 8 or 9 pointer. He's not a huge rack, but his body, I bet he field dresses 220. He's a big mature deer, and that is my target.
Nice. You got a name for him?
Yeah, his name is Sherman.
Sherman. I love it.
Sherman.
There's
And
a there's a deer that we have a little bit of history on just on this property that I missed a couple years ago, and we always call him Reginald. And I think he had this I shot him on the belly during gun season actually, and just on the breast, just hair, no blood, just right underneath. And then last year we had a big body deer, small rack, mangled rack. And I think that may have been him. And I'm anxious to see if he comes back this year. I've not seen him, but if he comes around, it really is only in that mid-November that we see him, just because we only have 2.5 acres here,
Yeah.
so it's like it'll be a front porch with the crossbow if I get
Yeah.
him when we're inside with our son sleeping in the couch, and me taking care of Jordan as she's on the couch recovering. But but I'll have it handy, so if I have to run outside real quick, like, hey honey, real quick, just
Right.
I'll be right back.
That's right.
So
That's right. You gotta take care of business.
well, I'm hoping that you get Sherman this year. And for those that just enjoy this kind of material, I really love talking about, just getting out in the woods, in the field, whatever, the last couple of years, and just having these resources of guys at the church. And everybody at the church knows you already, but for those that are listening in that don't know Brandon, find guys like Brandon if you're interested in learning something new. I was in my mid 30s when I started picking this up and trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to hunt? And I didn't grow up doing this at all. And it's guys like Brandon, it's guys like Ben that you guys are going to hear from. Ben, and here in a week and a half, interview that's going to be coming out with Ben McCoy. And it's guys like my friend Drew and all these guys I'm learning so much from and have learned so much from. And if you'll just look around, you'll find guys that you can really pick up a lot of really good skills that you can pass on to your children. And that's one of the things I'm so thrilled with now is watching Ransom and Valor get out there and shoot their bow. It's just such a neat thing to see them start to enjoy that. And man, I appreciate your friendship and all that I've picked up from you over the years. I always ask people this at the end. Brandon, has been awesome to see you just grow in your faith. And I always ask this at the end of every interview, but why do you love Jesus so much? And so I'll just ask you, just as a way for you to, praise God for his grace to you here at the end as we wrap up. Brandon George, why do you love Jesus, brother?
I love Jesus because he died for my sins. I get to live a life not worthy at all, and I remind myself about this daily. And he took all that away from me, man. And what you got to do is just so minute compared to what he did, and it's just awesome. How can you not love Jesus?
It's awesome, man. Amen. Well, guys, this has been a lot of fun. I'll put these links in the show notes for 127 Pursuit, and they will have all those links to the different things and sponsors that we heard Brandon talk about. And if you want to follow those through the links that I'll put down at the bottom. Thanks so much, Brandon, for coming on the show. Everybody, we've been talking to Brandon George. Brandon, appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.